Come, come, whoever you are welcome here. No matter your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, you are welcome here. No matter your gender, whom you love, how you speak, or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. You are welcome here whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears in your eyes. You are, no matter what you've experienced in the past, no matter what awaits you in the future, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God all of the time, some of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. This is a community of open minds, loving hearts, and willing hands.
Thank you, Tessa, and good morning. Good morning, y'all. Welcome to South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. My name is Matthew Morris. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a very tall white man who recently shaved off a beard, wearing a burgundy shirt, some blue pants, and some wonderful green shoes. And it is my privilege to serve as the worship leader for today's service. Our beloved Reverend Laura is enjoying her sabbatical and will be back with us later in the fall. We are excited to have the wonderful Bryan Debbink as our guest speaker and worship associate for this morning's service. Before we take a moment to fully arrive and welcome one another with joy, let us all turn around and say good morning and greet our wonderful Zoom family. And then let us take a moment to now fully arrive and welcome one another with joy. Please remain standing in body, mind, and spirit as you are willing and able for our opening hymn, number 121, We'll Build a Land. time, please remain standing as you're willing and able. I invite Mary Jane to come forward and light our chalice.
Let us light our chalice. Those at home are invited to light a chalice and share in this ritual by entering chalice is lit at and the name of your street in the chat box on Zoom. Please join me in repeating our chalice lighting words and use our actions if you wish.
We light this chalice for the warmth of love, for the light of truth, and for the energy of action, and the flames of resistance.
So, this is one of my favorite times my favorite parts of these Sundays where I get to talk to everybody, because I get to talk to y'all. And I find that you kids have some really important things to say and some really insightful things to say. So I would love to kind of get your ideas on a couple of things. The first thing I want to know is if anybody knows what the word sacred means. Yeah, there's no more cushions, buddy. I'm sorry. Okay, the word sacred. Yeah, Jacob.
Something that is like treasured by many.
Yeah, so something that is treasured by many. That's a great description. Anybody else have an idea about what the word sacred means? Yes.
I don't know. The way that you said it was good. I'd like to add that it's more typically seen from a more religious point of view, though it doesn't always have to be.
Yeah, so are people seen as sacred sometimes? How about places? Certainly places, right? And things. There are things that I think that we would call sacred, like artifacts of ancient times, the Shroud of Turin, things that we would look back on and say, that is an object that reminds me of my spirituality or my religiosity. The reason I ask this is because in a little bit, I'm going to talk about the idea of sacredness. And Reverend Laura has said this to us before, but I want to kind of harp on this a little bit. And it's the idea that sacredness is not of a place, but it is instead of a people. This room is sacred, but it's not sacred because someone said it was. It's not sacred because at one point in the past it was decided that it was sacred. It's sacred because you guys show up here every week and make it so. It's the touch of the people, I think, that really takes something and makes it sacred. I'm not going to ask about the word consecrated because that's a little bit much, but do you guys know the word bless? Like to bless something, to make it, so, yeah, tell me what the word bless means. That's okay. Does anybody know what the word bless means? Yes, Chloe.
It's when people get blessed with water over a big fountain.
Okay, yeah, there's a whole bunch of different ways to bless somebody, and it's like giving somebody a spiritual gift almost. It's like saying, take this spiritual gift from me and take it with yourself and go and be safe and be well. So I think that places and things that get blessed are only sacred because the people who do the blessing are in and of themselves sacred. You and I, we are inherently sacred. There's nothing that you have to do to be sacred. Oh, Papa, you need a hug? No is a fine answer. You're allowed to say no. Oh. You are sacred, inherently. as a person just because you are. And I think that that sacredness can be shared with other people and places and things. Yes?
That's right.
We're going to end there. Thank you guys so much for your time. This has been wonderful. I really appreciate all of your input. I'm actually going to take I'm going to take that and let this be. Thank you all. Let's go back to our parents. Actually, are we going to sing them out? This community, our church, and its many ministries are only made possible by the gifts you give of your time, your talent, and your treasure. Many of you pledge monthly to support our work, and for this we are grateful. Your gifts help to ensure that we are able to live our values of love and justice in the world outside. Part of our ministry at South Valley includes sharing our Sunday worship offerings with a charitable organization that aligns with our principles and values. Our partner for July and August is Encircle, an organization that brings families and communities together to support LGBTQ+ youth. Please join me in reading the Offertory words. They are printed in your order of service and they're on the screen.
We are this church. We are its hands, its heart, its voice. Together we share the wealth of this community and sustain with our gifts.
We will now accept the offering. For those at home, you are invited to use the giving link in the online order of service. Those of you here are as well. I invite the ushers to come forward at this time.
For all that we have received and all we have found the courage to give, may we be truly grateful. May these gifts be a blessing to South Valley and to Encircle. My name is Bryan Debbink. My pronouns are he and him. I would normally describe myself as a relatively tall white guy, but at my 6 feet of height, I am basically way under the average for this particular service. I'm wearing a green button-down shirt, gray pants, and some sweet black kicks. All right. I serve this congregation as president of the Board of Trustees and have the privilege to be speaking with you today. All right. All gathered here today are invited to participate in our ritual of joys and sorrows. Those who are joining us in the virtual community are invited to use the chat box in the Zoom space to share your joys and sorrows. Our worship associate will gather and read those out from the pulpit after those gathered in the sanctuary have an opportunity to approach the altar and place their stones. For those gathered here in body, you are invited to approach the altar and place a stone in the water. Feel free to pause as you select your stone and gently place it in the water. You are invited to practice this ritual in silence. At the close of this ritual, when all who wish to have added their stone, we will add one final stone to represent the joys and sorrows unexpressed and still held in kindness. You may now begin the process of rising and coming to the tables in the front and the back. And thank you for sharing.
And if I remember how we normally do this, we have one stone for all of the joys and sorrows expressed on Zoom. And then we have one stone for all of the joys and sorrows left unexpressed. So I alluded to this earlier. Maybe I didn't even allude, I just said this earlier. I want to talk about the idea of sacredness. What makes a place sacred? Is it the stone beneath our feet? The shape of the roof overhead? Perhaps it's the history in the walls. We often act like sacredness seeps up from the ground, as if there's some invisible current flowing in certain soils. We tell stories about holy mountains and ancient temples, about sites where miracles happened. We imagine the land holding the memory, keeping it safe for the next pilgrim who walks that way. But here's the truth. Take away the people and the prayers, take away the tears and the laughter, and it's just geography. Stone, wood, dirt. Think about it. You can walk into the ruins of a once beloved sanctuary, dust gathered in the corners, light streaming through broken glass. The architecture still stands. The history still happened. But if no one is there, if no one gathers, it feels empty, bereft. Like a cathedral with locked doors, a field where the campfire no longer burns, without presence, without love. These spaces just don't hum with human life anymore. They're simply waiting. Sacredness doesn't live in the building by default. It's something we bring. It's something we do. The word consecrate means to make or declare sacred, and it turns out you can consecrate almost anything. You can consecrate a hospital room by sitting beside someone in pain, holding their hand through the beeping of machines. You can consecrate a kitchen table by telling stories until midnight, stories that keep a family's history alive. You can consecrate a sidewalk by showing up for a march for justice, your feet pounding in rhythm with your convictions. Sacredness is not about the walls, it's about what happens inside them. The sacred doesn't need to be dressed up. It doesn't need stained glass or a marble altar. The altar can be a couch where someone says, "I'm struggling." It can be a park bench where someone is given a sandwich and a little bit of hope. It can be a porch where neighbors swap news and tomatoes from the garden. Anywhere love meets presence, you're standing on holy ground. Again, love plus presence equals sacred, equals holy. And here's the thing. If this place itself were sacred without us, it wouldn't matter if we came or not. But it does matter, because the sacred is portable. It's ours to carry and ours to plant. Some of us have been in churches or communities that closed their doors. We know the ache of leaving a building where so much of life has happened. We imagined that the sacredness is tied to those bricks. We felt like we were leaving it behind. But the sacred doesn't stay locked in the building like a prisoner. It comes with us. The laughter we shared, the tears we cried, the way we stood side by side when it was hard, that all moves when we move. It can show up in a new building, a borrowed space, a pavilion in the park. The address changes, but the sacred remains. There's a weight to this truth, though. If sacredness is something we bring, then it's also something we cannot bring. We can walk into a space, arms folded and hearts closed, and all we'll find there is walls and chairs. But if we choose to show up differently, with kindness on our breath, attention in our eyes, and love in the way we listen, then suddenly the walls sing. It's not magic. It's us. It's what we're capable of when we stop waiting for a place to feel sacred and start creating that sacred ourselves. You don't have to wait to step into a holy building to bring sacredness to life. You can do it in the break room at work where someone feels invisible until you see them. You can do it in the grocery store aisle when you give patience instead of irritation. That's a hard one for me. You can do it at your dinner table tonight by genuinely listening to the person across from you. The sacred is portable. We are walking sanctuaries. Everywhere we go, we have the power to consecrate the ground beneath our feet. So, here's the invitation. Stop thinking of sacredness as something that needs to be found. Stop imagining that you need perfect conditions before you can feel it. Instead, realize you carry it. You are it. You can light up a room without electricity. You can turn an ordinary Tuesday into hallowed ground. You can make a borrowed room feel like home. The sacred is not in the walls, it's in the way we love. When you leave here today, this place will still be standing. The chairs will still be in neat rows. The air will still hold the faint echo of your voices. But what will truly remain sacred is what you carry out the doors. It'll be in the hug you give at the threshold, the kindness you show at the coffee shop, the way you greet your neighbor when you get home. So go and bring it with you wherever you go. The sacred isn't locked in here. It's walking out with you. And everywhere you go, you have the power to consecrate the space with your presence and your love. Thank you.
We are walking sanctuaries. The purpose of this sermon is to connect our lofty ideals of this community to our works both within and without of these walls. We as a community have extreme privilege, that of self-determination, even better, religious and spiritual self-determination. We get to decide what we stand for, what we believe, both collectively and individually. And of course, with great privilege comes great responsibility. Responsibility to set the set of values and beliefs we espouse, which is how we act in myriad ways. Within the UUA, the Unitarian Universalist Association, there are wide-ranging sets of values. In fact, since its founding in 1961, there has been this inherent tension between the Unitarian and Universalist traditions. At the extreme risk of painting any particular group with too broad a brush, Unitarians were largely an educated, upper-middle-class, largely white East Coast group. They couldn't suspend their disbelief enough to truly believe in the Trinity, instead breaking off and declaring one God and declaring that Jesus is just a really cool dude. While the Universalists birthed from working-class backlash against the prevailing Calvinism movement of the late 18th century, the Calvinists believed, and still believe, that God rewards the prosperous both on earth and especially after. The disadvantages of those in the lower classes were magnified beyond what is inherent in any economic system. Thus, opportunistic, visionary leaders developed and popularized the notion of universal salvation, whereby all faithful are granted entry into heaven, and the real work of the faith is to build heaven on earth, the beloved community, so to speak. Both traditions evolved over time, but you'll see many congregations in the UUA labeled as just Unitarian, or less frequently, just Universalist. Some Unitarian churches, in particular, still emphasize a belief in God and afterlife, while many more Unitarian Universalist and Unitarian Universalist offer a wider expression of faith. So how does this work? Where do these seemingly divergent faiths converge? That's on values. Justice, understanding, spiritual growth, truth, interconnectedness, common good, and equality. These values just so happen to spell out justice. These core values can be found in the 8 principles of the UUA, which can be found printed in various places around the building, and I believe on the page before hymn number 1, if you just turn back one page, I believe they're there. This covenantal relationship between Unitarians and Universalists forms the basis of a flexible, ever-evolving, ever-adaptable tradition. So why the history lesson today during a service focused on consecration and blessing? Trust me, I didn't see it going this way until I started writing. To find what's important enough to consecrate or bless in our faith community, it's critical to start from the truth of what makes us join together in the ways that we do. It's a tradition that joins both the head and the heart and allows the individual to find deeper meaning and truth in their own way. It respects each of us to create covenant and ceremony even in our small groups and committees. It's one that expects that we as a congregation will flesh out our own direction, our own heady ideals. I see it in those throughout the sanctuary today. And while I can't see you, in those so dedicated to join us online. Thank you. As a congregation, we of course have a mission statement, but how we truly express our values is what we do. I'm a universalist at heart. We'll build a land. We'll strive and actually build the beloved community. And that's become a core vision of this particular community at this particular moment. Starting with inquiry, in 2023, we as a whole community formed a strategic plan. Again, what? A history lesson? Strategic plan? Bryan, you say. I came for reflection and inspiration. Sorry, not sorry. The strategic plan part, I did see coming. But we need to rename it. Visionary action ideals, ideal visionary actions, inspirational reflection of values on earth. Somewhere in there gets to the nut of it, an expression of this community's highest ideals and values and how they connect with what we do. So at the very beginning of South Valley's ideal inspiration values extravaganza, we restate that list of values into 10 values, but distilled from dozens of group meetings, surveys, informal chats, and casual observations. I'm against lists longer than 3 in speeches, and particularly sermons, but because it's so important to hear them out loud, here we go. We as a community came up with these core values. Radical and liberating love, walking our talk, welcome and belonging, sound financial stewardship, smart risk-taking, social justice and anti-racism, spiritual growth and development, inclusivity and plurality, communication and transparency, humility, kindness, and radical acceptance. Let that sit with you for just a second and consider which one of those resonated most with you. I bet we had 10 different answers throughout this community, because I know, come on, someone had sound financial stewardship as their number one. From there, the board developed a list of 25 goals broken into 5 categories, and here's the complete list. Just kidding. I just want to highlight goal number 10. And the 25 are not ranked in any order of importance. It's just how they are categorized. Number 10 is expand community partnerships. Earlier this year, Reverend Laura made contact with a group, La Red de Solidaridad. They provide emergency aid to families directly affected by the ridiculous onslaught of deportations. This includes rental assistance, connection to legal services, money for food, and it also includes commissary for those imprisoned. They had a simple request for us to sponsor them as an independent project of South Valley. This provides them with a way to act as a nonprofit while drawing less attention than registering with the state. And this is an impossible gesture of trust. We are still building that trust relationship. Rightfully so. Organizations like La Red and the people that comprise them are wary to trust established do-gooder organizations. And indeed, at our first quarterly check-in just this week, I learned that their previous fiscal sponsor required a reimbursement process for each expenditure and charged them a fee for the service. While that's not actually out of the norm for this type of arrangement, it's what they express the most gratitude for that we provide them with a bank account with purchasing cards and require just quarterly reporting of activities and budgetary cash flows, much like the monthly reports that we use for our own management purposes. That's it. We don't need more. We don't need to do more. This is a simple act of trust from us, telling them everything they need to know about us. We listen to what they need and let them execute their mission. Smart risk-taking, social justice and anti-racism, humility, kindness, radical acceptance, walking our talk. Now we could sit back and say, check. Nice work, us. Golly, are we such good people? That they are excited to work with us and partner with us more deeply. They are a group of 7 people who have handled 225 plus calls on their 24/7 hotline since April, and 88 just in the month of July. And we will support them in whatever way we're asked. It's trust building, and we're at the very beginning. And truly, this is just the beginning for our community partnership build. Oh, is this just the beginning for our community partnership building? We have developed friends with Murray Baptist. What could we do together? We have a split plate. What could we do if we partnered with each of those organizations to actually take action on their mission, which actually aligns with our values, which is why we're supporting them in the first place? Our safety and security team, wonderful safety and security team, has built wonderful processes and will soon get funds to make our space safe and secure. What if we further developed that team? I'm not saying all y'all that are doing it right now need to be the ones continuing to do it, right? And we are able to offer assistance to congregations throughout the valley, many currently targeted by an increasing militant ICE. Friends, as has been stated here, we find ourselves in a moral recession. And we will double down on our values. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice, not on its own. It requires visionary groups like La Red, with the help of their friends, to hang on the arrow's point. And thus we connect our vision, our values, and our ideals to the work we actually do. And this is certainly worthy of consecration. May it be so.
I don't know. No, we're good. Please stand in body, mind, and spirit as you are willing and able for our wonderful closing hymn, number 1064, in the aptly named, I don't know, is it blue, green, teal? I don't know. Teal is a word I have a lot of history with.
It means like 25 different colors. Please remain standing, thank you, as you wish for the extinguishing of the chalice, and join us in our actions as we extinguish our chalice. The words are in your order of service, and up there, I presume, and you can say them out loud with me. We extinguish this chalice,
but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, nor the energy of action. We hold each other in our hearts until we meet again.
You may be seated. We are not extinguishing the flames of resistance. In fact, in the words of Lorette leader, first name Luis, we are igniting a wildfire of justice. Let it burn in your heart, your words, and your actions.